Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another live trading video. Today we're taking a look at the S&P 500, which I just picked up a long position on. And in this video, we're going to be watching the trade start to finish. You can see whether or not I make money on this trade or not, and everything in between. So let's jump into the analysis behind why I just bought the S&P 500 at a 50% retracement. And so far, I've seen a little bit of volatility already. So first of all, let me show you the actual trade. Here is where I took the trade. Now, as a US client, I am unable to trade CFDs. I have to trade on, the stock market or the futures market if I want to trade the S&P 500. So I picked up an SPY trade here, 250 shares long, which is the equivalent of trading the S&P or the SPX 500. For those of you guys who trade on the forex brokers out there, of course, they are very, very similar. They're representing the same asset. So I saw the price pulling back here after today's CPI news. We spiked to the upside and then followed through to the downside, just fell, and now tagged a level of support that caught my eye. Now, I had this chart marked up during my live stream today and decided that if price wanted to come down into this zone, I would dabble into a long trade. Now, we have to talk about the entry, the stop loss, that sort of stuff. Now, we have the 50%. We've drawn a fib from the swing low to the swing high, which was marked by that CPI volatility spike. As price pulled back down here today, I was looking for the long setup, and when we hit that 41.12 mark, I decided to go ahead and pull the trigger. Now, my stop loss here is in place in case I'm incorrect about this idea. Let me show you what that looks like. Now, I showed you on my Webull account just for a second here what that looks like. Basically a stop loss below this consolidation low, which is the same essentially as what we saw here on the 1 hour chart here. This consolidation low here, right? So my stop loss is below that low. If price basically breaks through the 61.8% retracement, if we don't hold this level, that's going to be my cue to go ahead and get out of this trade. Now, yes, it is volatile because you're seeing a big sell-off here this morning. What I'm looking for is a rather quick continuation of this trend. If it happens, we'll look to trail stops and follow this trend accordingly. If you guys are familiar with my style, then you know I like to trail stops. So if this market were to go higher, put in a higher low, that sort of thing, I'd be looking to trail stops. And that's ideally, if this trade works out, what we'll see in this video. If not, like I said, I'll take a small loss on a break to the downside. Now, on top of the actual chart here is a little bit of a breakdown on the edge finder side of things, why I went ahead and picked this thing up long. We have a bullish bias on the edge finder, which is our market scanning software. And you can see we get a +3 score. What that means is it lends towards a buy rating. COT data does not go in our favor. You can see that retail traders and institutional traders are both primarily short, which actually kind of balances out. So the retail crowd is shorting it, and the smart money crowd is also shorting it. So that kind of cancels out in terms of bias. Where things get interesting is we see seasonality wise, the month of February, March, April, May. This is a stretch ahead of us that historically tends to be positive expectancy for the S&P 500. That's what seasonality really is trying to get at. And you can see on this chart that most months tend to slightly have a bias to the upside there for the S&P 500. Now, on top of that, you also have some of the economic numbers, which kind of cancel out as well. With GDP growth declining, inflation numbers coming down with our latest reporting, as you can see, are 6.4% with a decline, still technically declining inflation. So to some degree, there's a bullish case for that on the S&P 500, in my opinion. Unemployment numbers also on the decline, which is positive for stocks, right? More jobs, better for the economy, that sort of thing. And interest rates, of course, coming out with the high interest rates recently are still technically pretty bearish for the market. So we get a little bit of a cross there. So with that said, I like the technical chart a lot. The fundamentals and the sentiment analysis give us a slight bias to the upside. So when combining the two, it was enough for me to go ahead and pull the trigger and take this trade. Now, we'll give this some time, and once this thing moves a bit more, I'll come back with an update on the S&P 500 trade.
I'm free, literally forever.
You mean I'm free?
Yes. I'm free.
All right, guys, a bit of an update on my S&P 500 trade. Price is working its way up pretty nicely now, although had quite a rocky start. You can see from the initial point of the trade. We had all sorts of volatility throughout the CPI release, and then this morning we had retail sales numbers come out here in the United States, which caused some more volatility on my trade. Here is a look, by the way, at the Webull version, or where I can see my actual position. We're currently floating at the time of recording about a $500 profit here so far on the trade. Now, I still have my stop loss in place, so the trade is not risk-free by any means. If price does break back down to the downside, I'll still be, potentially taking a loss in this trade. Now, the reason I point that out is that the goal here is to see if I can get some sort of higher high, higher low concept going in order to trail stops further. Now, notably, you can see this sort of resistance here up top is what I'm looking for this price to break. And when we go back to trading view, same concept over here. I'm looking for a breakout through the highs in order to really start trailing stops. And we could actually just go ahead and let me see if I can just draw a zone of resistance so we can eyeball this. We're looking for a breakout above the previous high. And again, of course, got to redraw my support zones. I'm not sure where they went. We've got the same concept on the lows here. We're looking for price to hold this low in order to keep us in the trade. Now, ideally, when I'm managing a position like this, what I'm looking for is a break above the highs and then some sort of higher low in order to trail my stop loss away from my initial risk into profit. But I'm being patient with this one as I still have a bullish reading overall on the edge finder. I'm not sort of in a rush to trail stops in this thing. I'm basically trying to hold on and let this trade play out as we get many indications to be bullish overall from the edge finder right now. So again, that's kind of the goal. That's an update on the position. We'll come back once things get moving a little bit further. All right, guys, and we are all out of the S&P 500 trade. Unfortunately, this thing was quite a roller coaster. I mean, it was back and forth from the get-go. Our initial entry went up and down and up and down and up and down. And unfortunately, in this case, the little blue lines that you can see, which marked around our entry point, the support zone that I was watching, you can see that it fell apart here and unfortunately did not hold as we were expecting it to, which resulted in our overall loss of $577.91. Now, yes, this is of course a loss and not fun to take a loss, but it's a controlled loss. And I understood the risk when I took this trade. The technicals to me still looked good. The trade setup was fine. It's just that this one didn't work out and we had some new news that came out, that unfortunately sort of tilted things into the bearish direction. Now, this is something, when it comes to trading, there's always uncertainty. You never know with certainty what the chart's going to do next. You only have probabilities, and all you can do really to control what happens is controlling your risk, right? So we lost $577, but it's not like we lost 80% of the account on one single trade. This is a small loss on the overall account, and we can move on. Hopefully this video was helpful to you. Again, I try and keep it real on my YouTube channel, showing wins and losses. Of course, it's more fun when you win, but I think there's still something to be learned from the losses. So hopefully you got something out of this video. Thank you for tuning in, and see you next time. It looks like you made it to the end of one of my videos. Thank you so much for supporting my content. It really means the world to me. And down below in the description, I put together some of my best resources for aspiring traders who are looking to improve. I've got some free downloads that could help you, some broker recommendations, and if you'd like to join our Discord or get access to some of our trading software, all of that will be linked down below in the description. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.